Currently, if you log on to PlutoTV's most popular movies section, you will see that Dinner for Schmucks is the first movie that is just greeting you right there. It is right there, number one, right in your face. First thing your cursor lands on. And I thought to myself, you know, I haven't seen Dinner for Schmucks. I remember it being advertised in 2010. I remember seeing it advertised on Comedy Central a year later. I remember them playing it on Comedy Central. But I never actually watched it. Until now. And boy, did I wish I can't even form a coherent sentence. That is literally how painful this movie was. So the premise for this movie is that an executive finally gets an opportunity to rub elbows with the bigwigs, and he even gets invited to the titular Dinner for Schmucks, aka Dinner for Winners, aka Dinner for Idiots, and I think it has like 3 other names, but the important thing is this. How do you play this game called Dinner for Schmucks? Well, you go, you bring an idiot with you, you put the idiot on stage, the idiot does his little routine, whatever it may be, and the best idiot gets a trophy. It doesn't really matter who wins, because in the end, the executives are the real winners, because man, is this hilarious, apparently. This sounds pretty cruel, and a lot of people will say it's very unrealistic, except I distinctly remember that there are things out there very similar to this. I mean, have you ever heard of pig parties? This is apparently a thing that people actually do. So I am not surprised that this might actually be a thing that happens in real life, if such a thing actually is a thing. Then we get to the schmuck, aka Barry, a mouse taxidermist who likes to make little mouse art with the various mice that he exterminates or finds on the road or what have you. Oh my god. Dinner for Schmucks clearly came out around the era where annoying and amusing were the same word. People thought they meant the same thing. Hey, this character is incredibly annoying. That must mean he's funny. No, it doesn't. Barry is probably the most annoying thing about this entire movie, and if it's not Barry, then odds are it's probably one of the other characters that you encounter as the executive and Barry hang out with each other and try to figure this nonsensical thing out. It's just one thing leads to another, and another thing leads to a third thing, and holy crap, all of this could have easily been avoided if you just didn't talk to Barry, did not make eye contact. Like, I get it, you know, he had to invite an idiot to the party, but it's like, is it really worth all the misery you go through just to have a successful evening at a Dinner for Schmucks? And you're probably going to argue with me and say, well, duh, that was the point of the movie. I don't think that's funny, you know? I just didn't think any of this movie was funny. I just found at absolute best, the jokes were predictable, and at absolute worst, I seriously wanted to I just wanted to beat myself to death with my own hat. I don't even think such a thing is possible, but somewhere around the point where Barry had tried to substitute Tim's girlfriend with the stalker that had been following him for 3 years, trying to make it look good, I remember that was the point where I was definitely willing to try. I mean, yeah, it might take forever, but I'm sure I'll accomplish it if I do it. I couldn't even finish this movie, to be honest with you. It got to the titular Dinner for Schmucks. I saw Barry's little piece. I saw that Leonard, I think was his name. It was Barry's supervisor at the IRS. I remember seeing him there and thinking, I'm sure some shenanigans will happen here, but you know what? I don't care. I saw Barry do his piece. I'm done. Good day, sir. I quit. Screw this. I'm done. This is especially painful because I distinctly remember, at least at one point, Steve Carell was better than this. Steve Carell actually did some funny stuff. Like, okay, maybe not everything he did was funny. In fact, this was kind of at that period where Steve Carell was literally in everything, so obviously there were going to be a few misfires, but he had some really good stuff too, you know? And it's so unfortunate to see somebody like him just spiral downward into something like Dinner for Schmucks. And the sad thing is, I think it was pretty much all downhill for him after that point, because I distinctly remember some of the other movies that came out shortly afterward were a little less than good. Not gonna lie, I was pretty sure this was gonna end up being one of those situations where I absolutely hated the movie, and then I looked around the internet for public opinion and found out that everybody loves this movie, and perhaps somewhere around the time frame it came out, it was one of those movies that every dum-dum in the universe was quoting because, you know, it's so funny. Except no, it really isn't. It's really not funny. None of this was funny at all. I looked around for public opinion and I find out that this movie is actually pretty polarizing. I mean, you either really love this movie or you really hate it. And as you may have guessed, I'm one of the people who really, really hates it. I think it has a complete score of 56 out of 100 on Metacritic, which is about 7 more than I think the movie deserves, but no accounting for taste, I guess. If you're asking for my personal opinion, however, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to give this movie a distinct 1 hat out of 4. And that's going to do it for this pilot of It Came from Pluto TV. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to do the YouTube shuffle. That's what we call like, comment, subscribe, and ringing the bell now. At least that's what I call it anyway. And I hope to see you next time. I hope to be making future installments of this series. But until then, I'll see you next time.